Well, the free movement of people is set to become a reality on the African continent soon. The African Continental Free Trade Area is a key element in this initiative. The aim is to unite the continent's 1.3 billion people with its $3.4 trillion economy, into one bloc. The African passport is yet to become a reality, though. However, things could change come 2021. So could this go some way in curbing situations like we've been seeing at Bay Bridge border post over the past few days? We're joined now by Loius Yaw Afful, Executive Director of the African Continental Free Trade Policy. A very good afternoon to you, and thank you very much, Loius, for joining us. Let's start with the African passport. Just how far are we from making this a reality?
Yes, thank you for having me, and good afternoon to all your viewers across the globe. It was supposed to have taken effect as of the last year, 2020, but I think that because of the COVID, it has been actually pushed to 2021, that is this year, to see the realization of it.
So we have the African passport, which is supposed to make movement of people much easier across borders. Some regional economic blocs like ECOWAS have already gotten it right, where you have one passport and you can move between countries there. But essentially, what will this mean, especially with legal frameworks already existing in terms of movement of persons for each country on the continent?
It's supposed to be part of the Agenda 2063. Which is to have one African union, one African people, one African movement. And so most of the protocols were based upon some of the regional blocks. For example, if we take the free movement of people, it was built upon the Abuja Treaty. And so if you come to West Africa, as you rightly said, we have the ECOWAS card, or what we call the brown card, which allows free movement of people or persons for right of residence, establishments, a period for 90 days. Now, in terms of the AFCFTA, I think that the negotiations on it is progressive. It has not been finally concluded. If it's conclusive, it means that the regional play will be a bit erosive. It will thus erode for them to have one unified, legitimate and legal framework. And that legal framework is going to look at the three areas I mentioned: right to residence, establishment, and entry. Because when capital moves, there's a need also for the people to move, even if it's not going to be trading services. There are some of the trading goods, the capital must move with the people. Apart from that, in trading services, you're going to have 5 areas of negotiated agreement that has to do with services in terms of business services, professional services. Some of these professional services might need to or might want to move to a location, an area of jurisdiction to operate or to work. So it is incumbent upon the regional blocks to complete the negotiations for it to really have its way this year.
So the African passport aims to remove restrictions on Africans' ability to travel, work and live within their own continent. If you take a look at recent developments between South Africa and Zimbabwe, and it's not just those recent developments, but in terms of the legal frameworks that South Africa perhaps has, in terms of tightening the borders and the rhetoric of having porous borders in South Africa, which keeps people out, how are we going to see this become a reality where people can move freely and be able to do that which needs to be done to make Africa a reality and a success?
If we have been able to negotiate and sign to the agreement, then all that which is left must be adhered to. That is what I'm saying, that we have to relax a bit on our sovereignties. If, irrespective of whichever country, there is no bully. There should be a fair playing ground for every member party state. It is my difficult to have to be with the party states who have not yet fully ratified the full agreement as after members. But then, if all have ratified, there is a need for a bit of the piece of our sovereignty to be taken. That is very, very important. And it says that it's heading towards one passport, African passport. And so it is important for local and internal legislations to be really shaped. If you take, for example, the issue of what we call it, intellectual property rights and phase 2 of the agreement, it's the same phase it's going to take. It's going to have certain piece of sovereignties being taken away. If we don't do that, then we are not going to realize, because if each country decides to, implement its very, very strict rules to the core without allowing what it has negotiated, then I'm afraid that it's going to be a very difficult one. No country is big or small under AFTA, and therefore whatever that has been negotiated, being in South Africa, being in Nigeria, being in Egypt or Ghana, and I'm happy that most other countries, we take Ghana like this, Ghana has come out with its waiver. That was as of last year, waiver of countries that have already opened up to, and I'm sure they'll finalize it by the end of this year.
Sure. So I have this African passport and I can travel to anywhere, ideally. Now, this is the ideal situation, and I can travel anywhere on the continent. What about visa fees? Do they also get waived?
It should be. But what is free should be free. Because at the end of the day, it is even the visa payments that will bring more problem. How would you want to pay in a free trade area of one movement of a person to another in a member state? It should be free movement of people. Free means free. That's attached to it. What is important is that the person has all the records and background checks that makes him, legally sound. Apart from that, everything should be free. It's as simple as the agreement is.
Free is free. So much incredible work is being done in the background where AFTA is concerned. But do you feel like that is being trickled down onto ground level? There have been accusations that it is elitist to some point. It's not the everyday average African that has access to the information, number one, and some of the benefits that it will bring about. Is that a fair point?
That is what you are doing right now. You are doing the mass education yourself. What is important now is that, yes, you agree to a certain point that it has not got down to the masses. African economies made up about 50 to 60% of the informal sector. They need to understand what all this agreement is all about. Because it's about export, it's about production, it's about factors, productivity. And most of them on the ground, it's about trading, it's about border trading. Our women, our children, they're all involved. How would they understand? It's the responsibility of one, the supervising agencies of AFTA institutions. For example, the ministries of trade and industry of various countries are supposed to ensure that there's a lot of mass sensitization and capacity building. Then CSOs and private sector join. If you don't involve the stakeholders in this whole mass sensitization and education, we are wasting our time. It is important that ministries of trade and industries start the work. Secondly, they engage the media, engage stakeholders. And secondly, we look at education. If you take our network, for example, that's what we're doing. We started a massive sensitization across Ghana, and we're moving into tertiary, education-wise, doing capacity building for them. And that's the way to go. Then the next stage is for us to also look at how to make trade manuals for the average person on the street to understand what does it take if I want to export, what are the procedures. It is also important. I know that there's some information repositories being built here and there. That is not enough. Within each country, Ghana has established what we call the local coordination, after local coordination office. That must be reciprocated. It was a recommendation by the African Ministers of Trade that every country should have a coordinating office that will be a liaison between the secretariat and then the member states' citizenry, so that it can be able to be involved through mass sensitization, through formation inquiry, through capacity building. Example, people have to know which country needs my products. All these have been put in a kind of directory. These are some of what I call the trade manuals. It must be assumed by the state itself, the government institutions, and then private sector will follow, CSOs will also follow. That is the way to go.
Thank you very much for your time. Perhaps Muammar Gaddafi's United States of Africa could be a reality, after all, in our lifetime. That is the Executive Director of the African Continental Free Trade Policy, Loius Yaw Afful.